League spring season is off and running, and tonight we've got a matchup between Brooklyn and Lexington. Brooklyn is on a 7-match unbeaten streak, while Lexington is adjusting to a new interim head coach and still searching for their first win after the break. Former pro Jeff Attinella and Bridget Howard joining you tonight on a chilly and breezy evening at Lexington SC Stadium. And Jeff, last time Brooklyn and Lexington matched up was back on December 7th. Brooklyn had a day offensively, winning 3-0 thanks to Mackenzie George, Jess Garziano, and Dana Sheriff.
Well, it was an all-around dominant performance from Brooklyn the last time these two teams took the field, and it's really been an indicator of the season so far. Brooklyn able to do what they wanted offensively, turning the ball over in the Lexington half, as we see here, and able to cap off that 3-0 win. Really a game that Lexington was going to want to forget, and especially a lot of lessons learned from this one as they head into the matchup tonight.
Brooklyn won both meetings last fall, 2 meetings, 2 shutouts. And how about this? We've got a heat map to show you just how good Jess Silva's side was defensively in that last matchup. Jeff, the gals in green barely touched the ball in or around Brooklyn's 18.
Just really big indicator of how dominant Brooklyn was. Anytime there's a big empty space around the Brooklyn goal box in a game, that just shows that Lexington was not able to really get much going offensively. And again, it's something that Lexington is going to have to turn around and have success tonight.
Brooklyn's the only team to shut out Lexington in both matchups this season. Lexington hoping to change that narrative tonight. And they can do that with their set pieces. They've been a weapon for them all season long thanks to the duo of Sydney Shepard and Madison Perez. 3 set pieces from Perez have resulted in 3 goals from Shepard.
A very dangerous team on set pieces. Lexington is going to need to use this to their advantage tonight, but scoring goals has not been the issue for this Lexington team. As we see here, another towering header. Set piece is going to be something that Brooklyn needs to be switched on as, especially as the road team.
Well, a bright spot for this Lexington team, no doubt, but scoring goals really hasn't been their problem. It's fascinating looking at the stats for both sides heading into tonight's match because offensively, they're very evenly matched on paper, but defensively is where Brooklyn really separates themselves from the rest of the league.
The goals against and the clean sheets are the 2 big indicators of what Lexington needs to improve. 34 goals against, it's just way too much in a league like this if they're going to be competitive. Hopefully tonight they're able to tighten it up defensively and make life a little bit harder for this Brooklyn team.
Yeah, well, for Brooklyn, they've had no shortage of goals, and a big reason for that being this lady right here, Luana Grabias, tied for the team lead in goals with 4. She's been electric.
And 3 goals in one game coming against DC. Just an extremely talented player in and around the box. Lexington's going to need to be aware of where she is with the ball at her feet because she could put the ball in the back of the net from anywhere on the field.
Well, we're all set to go in Lexington. Make yourself comfortable, grab yourself some popcorn, and get ready for some Saturday night Super League. We'll have lineups, first kick, and more coming up right after this. You're watching the USL Super League on Peacock.
I shouldn't be here. That's what the first 3 doctors said. That even if I made it to remission, I'd probably never climb again. But I did, because I wanted a different answer. And I found it at UK Healthcare. They took a drug nobody else had yet. 12 rounds of chemo and a 16-person team. But here I am, right where I was never supposed to be.
Who is Lexington Sporting Club? We are the professional soccer team in the heart of the Bluegrass. From our Youth Academy to the Women's Super League to the Men's USL Championship team, we're building the future. From every corner of Lexington, we are united under one crest. This is your team. This is your community. Together, we are creating our story and leaving our mark. This isn't just any club. It's a club to call your own. Get your tickets today at lexsporting.com/tickets.
The USL Grabias, Morgan defending. Grabias is in behind the keeper and scores!
Cross, Sprinter team tapped home.
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Save man by Alpaisi.
I said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead.
Welcome back to Lexington SC Stadium for week 22 in the USL Super League. Former pro goalkeeper Jeff Attinella and Bridget Howard on the call with you tonight. It's time for the starting lineup, so let's start with the home side. And Jeff, a big name missing on there. Maddie Parsons not in the starting lineup for the first time this season.
Well, the first starting lineup for Sam Stokely as he takes on the interim role as the Lexington coach. It prevents a free opportunity for these players. A new look lineup. We have Cox coming in at goalkeeper, 22 Shepard and 5 Perez at the center back position. We talked about them in the open. Look for them on set pieces. 16 Mackin, Weeks at the outside backs. Winter, Burness round out that midfield, that defensive midfielder shape with 13 Richardson out wide, 25 Moyer in the midfield. Look for her to dictate on top of the ball. 36 Doyle on the right, and number 2 White up top. Look for her to be a menace against those center backs of Brooklyn all night long.
Yeah, White, Burness, and Doyle, all mid-season additions for Lexington, looking to make an impact tonight. Now, as for Brooklyn, the Bronx native Samantha Rosette getting back in the starting lineup. You love to see it.
2 changes from last week's tie against Tampa. As you mentioned, Rosette slots into that right back spot, and as well as Breslin comes into that midfield spot as well. The familiar starting 11. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. They liked what they saw last week against Tampa. With those 2 changes, look for this team to press and press very hard offensively as well.
Well, it's chilly, it's breezy. Folks are bundled up, and so is Jess Silva. Jess Silva has been off and running with this Brooklyn team this year. She's at the helm, and they sit at the top of the table as we enter tonight. And as we look at Lexington, I mean, we talked about it in the open. They had quite the coaching carousel the last 3 weeks. Tonight and for the remainder of the season, Stamp Sockley will lead the charge. He's been the Lexington men's sporting director since 2021, and we are underway here at Lexington SC Stadium. A long ball sent forward, and it'll roll out of bounds for a Brooklyn throw-in.
Well, with this Lexington group tonight, it gives them a chance to kind of reset everything. Whenever there's a new coach that comes in, he's very familiar with this group. He's been paying attention. He's been on top of what's going on with Lexington football for quite some time. But it just gives them a fresh start. As you see a little bit of an offsides here, getting an early look at how Brooklyn wants to play, pressing offensively. But it just gives them the opportunity to kind of get a restart on their season. A new coach, new opportunity for these players, which should re-energize this group quite a bit.
Our head official tonight is Sean Tahini. Brooklyn in their pinstripe away kits, gray and black. And as for Lexington, they're in the all green for the spring home opener. Brooklyn is on a 7-match unbeaten streak. If they win tonight, they'll make it 8. They have really just been unstoppable, and Jess Garziano on the ball now has been a big part of that. She's just been dominating this midfield.
And you see her ability in the hold-up play as well. Defender on her back easily brings the ball down. And it's just an important part when you're talking about being able to break those lines. Having midfielders that are comfortable on the ball with their backs to the goal. Just a huge part in what they've been able to do offensively.
Tell the players are bundled up here this evening. It's in the 30s here in Lexington. It's also windy. It's perfect soccer conditions, right, Jeff?
For some people, Not for goalkeepers, I'll tell you that much. Windy, cold nights were not always the most favorable for goalkeepers, but especially on a windy night, look for both of these teams to try to keep the ball on the ground. The wind isn't much of a factor if you're able to play between the lines on the ground, but once that ball gets into the air, that's when things can get a little bit dicey.
Something both coaching staffs mentioned to us was breaking in between the lines, finding the spaces in between the lines as well was going to be a key for both sides here tonight.
Well, especially against a team like Brooklyn who loves to press. If Lexington's able to get on top of the ball and break those initial lines, it just allows that offense to go against a little bit less numbers. And on the flip side, if you're Brooklyn, finding those gaps, getting the ball out wide, and really using the wingers as a strength is something that they've been really good at all season long. But all of that comes from being able to break those lines with the ball on the ground.
Brooklyn sends ball forward. You can tell they love to get it out wide, take it to the touchline, serve it across. We saw so many goals last fall with that exact formula, and it's worked for them, right? Like you said it, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and they just continue to find these spots and pockets where they're able to find success and find the back of the net. George on the ball. Trying to find space around her defender, picked off by Lexington. Cox clears it.
That's a good decision there from the goalkeeper. I know the ball went out of bounds, but Brooklyn is a team that loves to turn you over and loves to press. So especially if you're Lexington early in this game, you want to settle into the game a little bit against a team like Brooklyn. So be a little bit smart with the ball around the back. I know that they want to play, they want to keep the ball on the ground, they want to move the ball and be better in possession, but especially early in a game, don't be afraid to kick the ball a little bit long, get your shape and get solid defensively, because that's a focus point for Lexington in this one. This great ball movement here from Brooklyn, just side to side, trying to open up this Lexington defense.
Sydney Shepard works around this ball and it'll roll out of bounds. Here's a look at Sam Stockley, the new interim head coach for Lexington. He's been the Lexington men's sporting director since 2021, and he's looking forward to laying the foundation for this group brick by brick, as he told us this week. And there was a lot of excitement we heard in his voice when he was talking about this team, despite the record that they have currently, as they make their way forward.
One of the words that kept coming up in our coach's call with Sam Stockley was the word identity. We want to build our identity. We want to play in our identity. The players that we bring in, we want them to fit what we are looking for. They want to be a team that's strong in possession, but again, a team that's going to shore up defensively quite a bit. They know that giving up goals has been quite an issue, so bringing in players that are strong defensively, but also not afraid to be on the ball and take advantage of the attack when they have those opportunities to go forward. But I love when he just kept saying, we want to build our identity. It's all about building our identity and what we want the club to look like going forward. That's what they did with their player additions, and that's what he's going to bring to this side.
Madison Perez plays it out wide, but it'll trickle out of bounds before Autumn Weeks gets a touch on it. Well, is today's Lexington Sporting Club injury report, brought to you by UK Healthcare. A couple of players not available today, Alicia Laramie and Natalie Higgins. Brooklyn's back line has been really hard to break all season long. Lexington trying to do so here early, having the right ideas, but Jess Silva really just told us it's been such a pleasure to coach this back line, and she really emphasized Kelsey Hill, the leader, the vocal leader on that back line. They've been fun to watch.
Well, you see it in their stats as well. 7 clean sheets on the season, which is a great number for them. Solid defensively. I really like what Lexington did in that build-up, though. Just 1-2 touches through that midfield, and that's what we talk about when we're talking about breaking lines. Brooklyn likes to throw numbers. They like to press. They like to swarm the ball. So if you're able to move that ball quick in those triangles, the final pass wasn't there, but if you're able to move that ball quick, get the midfield a little bit disjointed, and then try to play that killer ball, that's going to be a recipe for success. So look for Lexington to try to be on that ball in the midfield and move the ball quick, so that that Brooklyn defense has to move a little bit more side to side, so you can create those space and try to get those opportunities inside the goal.
Sam Stockley told us we want to embrace the press, right? And I think you can look at it 2 ways. It's you either are afraid of it and you know it's coming, but you just try and kind of work around it, or like you said, you embrace the press. You try to play to your strengths while you know what's coming at you.
Well, I love the philosophy, because there's 2 different ways to go about dealing with a press. You can lump the ball long and try to beat it over the top, or you can play in the midfield, and if you're able to break the press with some passes, then you're going against better numbers on the attack. So I like the approach in terms of trying to keep the ball on the ground, move it from side to side as fast as you can, try to break that press with some passes, and then like I said, once you're able to do that, then there's that long ball where you can slip the forwards running. Because if you're able to get a press moving from side to side like that and ball chasing a little bit, it'll open the game up for Lexington quite a bit.
Lexington looking for space on that far side. Another throw in, it'll be for Brooklyn.
I think for Lexington in this one as well, defensive shape is going to be extremely important. You want to make sure that you have numbers behind the ball. Anytime that you're giving up a lot of goals, the first focal point should be making sure that at all times you're getting numbers behind the ball and making it hard for this Brooklyn team to break you down. Of course, Brooklyn has extremely talented players, so it's easier said than done. But if you give yourself a better opportunity just by getting the numbers behind the ball, at least then you have the numbers and you're able to defend in front of you as opposed to having to chase all night.
Ball sent forward over the head of Autumn Weeks. Samantha Rosette, the fullback for Brooklyn. You can tell they like to get up into the attack. Sometimes when we're calling these games, you're like, who's that? And it's actually the outside back. So look to see that a lot from Brooklyn.
Not a team that's afraid to fly numbers forward. And we get a good look at it there. It's 1-2 passes, and then maybe it's a switch of the side of the field so that they're able to overload one side. They've been pretty dominant down this right side tonight, going down that way, but it all starts on the left as well. So it's moving the ball from side to side and then trying to draw that Lexington team across the field, and then they play that big switch where they have the numbers, something that Brooklyn's been able to do really well all season long, and that's why we talk about using their width. They're able to overload those wide areas, and then you're talking about 2v1 situations. Maybe you're putting the ball into the box, and it's just been a recipe for success for this Brooklyn team all season long.
Hannah White looks to track down this ball.
Good composure there from the goalkeeper.
Hugh Purcell has been exceptional this season for Brooklyn. Join us for our next home match at LSC Stadium on St. Patrick's Day, Saturday, March 15th, when the Ladies in Green from Lexington Sporting Club take on Dallas Trinity FC at 7 p.m. Be sure to wear your LSC green and secure your seats today at lexsporting.com and continue your support of Lexington SC. Brooklyn currently sits atop the table, the USL Super League, and talking with the coaches this week, the games are getting fewer this season, and they're all trying to make it to those top 4 spots. Right now, just a couple of points separating second place and 5th place. Every game moving forward, that much more important. Jess Silva, they don't talk about the table. They don't talk about it, but they know they're at the top of it.
I brought it up. I know I brought it up, and it got shut down pretty quickly. The question was asked, how do you make sure you stay at the top? But a very process-oriented group. You can tell they take it one day at a time, one game at a time, not looking too far ahead, just trying to get better every time that they step on the field, and then hopefully building into that end of the season so that they end up getting the ultimate prize, which is what they're looking for. But just very process-oriented group. I tried to get her to take the bait to talk about the table, but she really wasn't having any of it. And it just speaks to the focus that this group has on getting better every time that they step on the field, whether that's training or whether that's games. And you see it play out on game day. You see that they improve a little bit, trying to take lessons from each game, what they can learn to get a little bit better each time that they get together as a group.
It's a good spot to be in, right? You're at the top of the table, and you
you'd
don't have
rather
to
be-
talk about it, right? Because
you'd
it's
rather
much
be at the
different.
top.
It's much different on the other side of things for Lexington. They are approaching this spring slate as a clean one, and here they come on offense. Shay Moyer plays it out to Kate Doyle. Hannah White cuts it back. Deflected by Brooklyn.
Good little bit of skill there from the forward. White just wasn't able to get it to come off, but this is what Lexington needs to do. Turn the ball over and attack with pace. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get a shot on target there, but if they're going to have success tonight, that's exactly what it's going to look like. Opportunities to turn Brooklyn over and attack with pace, attack in numbers, trying to overload that solid Brooklyn defense as much as they can. But back to our conversation with Coach Silva, she really is focused on making sure this team gets better every single time that they take the field, and there's little improvements that can always happen throughout the course of a season and with the team. And if that's your mentality and the whole group is bought in, you're not looking at the table, of course it's great to be on top of the table. You'd rather be at the top than on the bottom. When you're on the bottom, you feel like you have to chase. But if you're not concerned with the table and you're just focused on getting yourself better and you're able to be at the top of the table as well, it's a great spot to sit in, especially at this point in the season.
Mackenzie George looking to sneak that ball away from Autumn Weeks. And over the break this winter, Brooklyn took a trip overseas, and this ball's played over the top, trying to target Hannah White. She's called offside. But they took a trip overseas and they were able to play some friendlies, and they really spent a lot of time focusing on the team culture. And to your point, when you're able to just focus on yourself and focus on your group, good things should happen.
Well, a trip to Italy never was bad for anybody, right? Anytime you get to make a trip like that.
You got to make pizza.
It's going to be a great thing for team bonding, and especially going into this second half of the season, it's something that I'm sure each team would greatly benefit from, but Brooklyn was able to take advantage of it. And you need that. You need that to make any type of championship run. You need the team all to be on the same page. You need the locker room to be in good spirits, and you get to take a trip like that. I don't think anybody's going to come back feeling bad about much.
On the near side, Kate Doyle plays it out wide to Claire Winter, but again, another offside call on Lexington.
I like this early, though, from Lexington. This is the right idea. They're trying to play quick. And when you have those moments of opportunities where Brooklyn's flying numbers forward, I know that White was a little bit offsides on that last long ball, but if you have those opportunities where Brooklyn's stepping out and you think you can get that ball in over the top, don't be afraid to hit that ball. That's one way to break a press. I know that they want to keep the ball on the ground and try to break lines, but if Brooklyn's throwing numbers and you have that opportunity to hit the long one, don't be afraid to go route one, because then you have the Brooklyn defense chasing. They just have to do a little bit of a better job making sure that they're on their line so they're not getting those offsides calls.
This ball played over the top. Madison Perez handles it nicely. Cox once again clears this up the heart of the midfield. This ball trickles to Cox. LSC fans, visit lexsporting.com to get your latest Lexington SC news, merchandise, and discounted ticket offers. That's lexsporting.com.
Oh, good job recovering there from Lexington. Those are the balls you need to be extremely careful of against Brooklyn.
And there you can see that press, able to pick it off. Mackenzie George sends it to this near side, trying to find the feet of Grabias. It'll roll out of bounds.
And it doesn't come off there, but that's just a good little snippet of what makes this Brooklyn team so good. Lexington's been comfortable on the ball, but it's one bad pass, it's one pass in the midfield, it's one turnover, and the next thing you know, you're chasing and you're defending. So that's why, especially if you're trying to play possession in your own half, you have to be extremely cautious with your passes, because Brooklyn can turn you over and attack so quickly, you almost don't even know what hits you by the time they're already attacking in your goal box.
Grabias hits the ground, but no call. Sam Kroger. Grabias had a great idea to slot that ball through, but a bit of a miscommunication at the top of the box.
Yeah, definitely the right idea. Timing just a little bit off there, not on the same page, but Grabias even tonight has done such a good job. She's finding the ball. If the ball's not finding her, she's going to get it. She's dropping back into the midfield to get her touches on it. She knows that she's a special player and that she's somebody that can really dictate this offense. So anytime you're able to get the ball, and especially with special players, I love when a special player goes and finds the ball for themselves. Because sometimes if they can't find you, go and get the ball, because you know you can make a difference.
Here comes Brooklyn once again. Emily Yapel taking on her defender, sends it towards goal. And Cox getting some early action here tonight.
And again, it's that long ball over the top. Yapel able to take her on 1v1. She really gets a good hit off. I think this ball was knuckling quite a bit, but the goalkeeper Cox does a good job hanging on despite the traffic in front.
back to our conversation on Luana Grabias. We touched on her a bit in the open, but she's done a lot of work tonight, and Jess Silva said that when they were recruiting her to come to Brooklyn, she said, "You're gonna have to work for me." And she's been really proud of her work rate and how it has improved over the course of this season. And you're starting to see that really pay off in the way that she's able to not only affect the offense for this Brooklyn team, but she noted her defensive abilities as well. The work rate is through the roof now, and she said, I'm such a proud coach.
Well, anytime you're talking about a team that loves to press, that press really starts from that top forward, and you need your forward to put in the work defensively for the rest of the group to buy in, because once she steps and starts putting on that pressure, it's up to the rest of the group to catch up with her, and she really dictates that press. So you want to make sure that you have a target forward that's really putting the work in, not only offensively, but really bought into what your principles are defensively, because that's really what's going to dictate how they're able to turn the ball over and get her those opportunities in front of goal. And it was extremely high praise from the coach, and you could tell that the work's been getting put in. And again, it's just a team that you could tell is just extremely bought into what they're trying to do and what they're trying to look like as a team.
Good defensive effort from Shea Moyer there in the midfield.
Lexington doing a good job in the midfield. I think Brooklyn would do well trying to get that ball moving side to side a little bit more, because they're getting numbers around the ball very quickly. So maybe 1-2 touch out the other side, create those numbers that they love so much.
Nicole Vernis, one of those mid-season additions for Lexington. Lexington added a couple of players during the break. Hannah White being one of them. Kate Doyle also in the starting lineup tonight, played collegiately at Arkansas and Gonzaga. Both Vernis and White played at Georgia.
Well, that's also the benefits of getting a new coach in, right? New opportunity for players, get a new look. And at this point in the season, especially if you're Lexington, you get a good result, you're more than likely going to stay on the field. So it's a great opportunity for everybody playing for Lexington tonight, if they step on the pitch, that they can impress their new coach and try to earn themselves a little bit of real estate in that starting 11.
Again, Shea Moyer working back defensively for Lexington. Sam Stockley told us he wanted this group to be calm and composed in possession, but also out of possession, right? And they've seemingly done so tonight. Brooklyn has had a couple of dicey opportunities, right? Just around the top of the box, but Lexington hasn't seemed rattled, which I think would be a step of improvement from what we saw in the fall. On the far side, Autumn Weeks. Lexington resets here.
We speak of their composure. I think that they did a really good job in those first 5 minutes, because Brooklyn really had the better of play. They were pressing, they were attacking, and Lexington was scrambled just a little bit to get themselves into the game. But ever since that moment, I think they've settled in. They've been a little bit better in possession. They're getting numbers behind the ball. So they weathered that initial storm, which is awesome against a team like Brooklyn, because you know that they want to throw numbers. And then they've been calm. Numbers are behind the ball. They're not chasing when they don't have possession. When they're on possession, they're smart with their passes. So it's been a good first 22 minutes here for Lexington, and especially what they're trying to do with this new identity.
They're high up the field now. Many of their goals have come off the counterattack. Brooklyn was the only team to shut out Lexington in both meetings during the fall. So Lexington is still looking for their first goal against this Brooklyn team.
Maybe third time's a charm.
That's what they say, right?
They do look like a much more composed group at the moment, though. Defensively, there's no panic. That's a great ball there over the top.
Here comes Doyle. She's got it in the corner.
It's a good bit of 1v1 defending.
Yeah, great defensive effort from Brooklyn. Leah Scarpelli Again, that back line showing why they deserve all that praise from Jess Silva. Quick throw in for Lexington. Hannah White trying to target Kate Doyle.
When you can see what makes Brooklyn so good defensively. White gets the ball with the goal to the back, immediate center back pressure, ball turns over, makes life difficult for that target forward where they're not able to connect those passes. Brooklyn just does such a good job of swarming the ball and making sure that no attacker has an easy possession on the ball and makes the attackers work for everything that they have to earn.
Sam Kroger on the ball. Long ball sent towards goal. Cox has to get up for it. She does. And Garziano has struck from that range before and scored, so you always have to be on your toes for when 9 gets the ball in that part of the field.
Well, especially when the ball turns over that quickly on a windy night, why not? Give it a chance. Maybe the wind catches the ball, but the goalkeeper Cox was well aware of what was coming, in a good spot to make the easy grab, but just another indication of how quickly Brooklyn can turn the ball over and get an opportunity on net.
Cheers to local beer. West 6th Brewing is proud to be the official craft beer of Lexington Sporting Club. Find their locally crafted beers all around the state of Kentucky. From the flagship West 6th IPA to Sixer Light Lager, there's something for everyone. Head to west6.com to visit one of their dynamic tap rooms and learn more about Stadium Ale, the official craft beer of Lexington SC. This ball, Leah Scarpelli picks it off, trying to find Grabias. Yapel works back quickly to avoid Winter, who's approaching. Last week, Brooklyn picked up a point on the road against Tampa. It was their first game back in 2 months. Tampa had already played a few, and it was the first time they went down a goal for the first time since October 23rd, which is pretty impressive to go that long without going down a goal, but it really just speaks to, one, their press and how, they just get after teams right from the jump. They were able to walk away with a point in that one. The draw.
Well, and 2, you talk about the trip to Italy. Tampa had games under their belt to start this second half of the season, and that was Brooklyn's first game back. So you expect a little bit of rust. Maybe the team's not in a good unison, but able to get a point in a difficult place to play. And then also you talk about just the difference in the road games that they've had from week to week. I just came from Tampa, and I got sunburned today, and there's a different issue here.
Mackenzie George on the ball. Leah Scarpelli rockets this one back towards goal. Great defensive effort from Lexington. Sam Kroger picks it up again, and Emily Yapel sends a bouncer towards goal. Let's take a look back at that action.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great ball in over the top, and George able to run underneath of it. The arm goes up from the Lexington defenders for the offsides. But again, I think if George could have the defender showing her left foot the entire way, if she's able to take that left foot touch, she has a little bit more of an opportunity. But Cox with a big time save, standing tall in her goal, not overcommitting to one side or the other, keeping herself balanced and coming up with a big time save. A little bit too easy if you're the Brooklyn defense for that ball in over the top, but a great job by the goalkeeper at Lexington to bail out the team in that 1v1 situation. But again, if you're George, she's showing you that left foot. Just take that opportunity to touch it to your left foot, even if it's not your strong foot. It opens up the goal for you quite a bit, but a good shot on target, but Cox was up to the task.
That was a great ball played forward. I believe it was Leah Scarpelli. It was just a looping ball right to the feet of George.
You can tell it's so right foot dominated there. The defender showing her left foot. She said, you can take your left foot if you want to, but she opts for the right foot. But again, you know me, I have to give a nod to the goalkeeper. It's a great bit of goalkeeping there, covering her goal, making sure she doesn't lean one way or the other in those 1v1 situations. Sometimes goalkeepers can tend to lead, but she holds her ground, reacts on the shot, makes a big time save to keep her team in it.
Lexington has had some good spells so far in this one. Still looking to extend those spells. That was one of the goals for Stockley and crew heading into this match against Brooklyn. They've seen it, they know they have it. It's just extending those periods of good play.
Well, as well, too, there's going to be moments in games where players need to step up. Just there, we saw a big-time save. And if you don't want to concede goals, you need your goalkeeper to play well. And there's going to be moments against a team like Brooklyn where the ball is going to turn over and they're going to get opportunities. But they avoided a tough situation. The score is still at 0-0. Lexington can settle back in if they want to, but they have to be mindful of how quickly Brooklyn can attack.
Grabia sends it to the far side. Rosette looking for help. Back out wide again, but a couple of times now in this first half, we're seeing balls roll a lot faster than I think Brooklyn is anticipating. They play on an artificial turf. Maybe it's just getting a little faster here tonight, especially with how cool it is outside.
Cold, windy night. The ball's a little bit slick. And anytime you're on an away field, you're not going to get the read of the ball the same way that you would as you're used to in your friendly confines. But just speaks to the weather and the elements that everybody's dealing with tonight on the field.
Here comes George in her sweet spot, tries to send it across goal, and it will be a corner kick, the first of the night for either side.
It's a good ball. She's able to attack with so much pace out wide. She has the ball on her preferred right foot, able to create something for her group. And set pieces was an area of focus for both of these teams coming into this one, especially on a cold, windy night. Everybody needs to be extremely locked in on these.
Sam Kroger gets set to take the corner kick.
A lot of traffic here around the goalkeeper. Look for this ball to be whipped in into a dangerous spot.
Kroger sends it in. A high arcing ball headed by Perez. This will roll out of bounds. Again, Lexington has caught themselves a couple of times in some dangerous scenarios because their initial clearance of balls hasn't found a green jersey or hasn't gone far enough. Brooklyn has gotten a couple of good looks in front of goal because of those unsuccessful clearances.
Yeah, you want to put the ball a little bit out of the middle of the patch there. I thought Perez did a good job rising above it, but I will give them credit for getting numbers behind that ball, because anytime a forward's taking a shot, there is a lot of traffic, but you know, she's facing away from her goal, trying to hit a shot from like 22 yards out or so. You'll take that all day long if you're Lexington, but just being cautious with those clearances, not to put those in the danger areas, maybe put them back out wide so that you can regroup as a team and be able to pick up your marks and it's not doing as much scrambling around.
Julie Mackin on the throw-in, hoping to find Hannah White. Jeff Attinella, Bridget Howard on the call with you tonight from Lexington SC Stadium. Head official is Sean Tahini tonight. It's been back and forth so far in this first half. Lexington starting to find their footing a bit under new interim head coach Sam Stockley. Brooklyn had a handful of opportunities of their own.
Well, that's the right idea from Brooklyn. Try to get the ball moving side to side. Not sure that was the right ball or the right player. She had a player in the midfield, maybe play the ball on the ground and just take that one extra pass so they can go side to side. But that's the right idea when you see Lexington throwing numbers to one side like that. See how quickly you can go out the other side and then attack with those numbers.
Yeah, Lexington looks to be getting sucked into this near side, and when you've got Mackenzie George and her speed on that far sideline, targeting her is exactly what you want to do. Good step from Sydney Shepherd.
Good patience there from Lexington. Not forcing anything, trying to restart it. Now you get the ball on the ground, try to build up a little bit in that possession.
Shepherd with the loose ball, picked off by Yapel.
That's a tough one there. You don't want to force that ball against a team like Brooklyn.
Kroger. Great ball over the top to Scarpelli. Even better defensive effort from Lexington there. And there you're seeing that patience. Hannah White drops back, finds Shea Moyer. Grabias finds herself with the ball. There's that effort getting back defensively, Nicole Vernis.
Yeah, it's great recovery defending there from Lexington. I really thought Brooklyn had an opportunity there, but they did a great job throwing numbers behind the ball.
Right idea to send it forward, and quite frankly, a great ball in between the defenders, but no one to be on the end of it.
Yeah, the target forward, White's been doing a lot of work defensively, so a little bit out of position here. I'd like to see her get back to that target spot so she can hold those balls up, but the work defensively has been appreciated as well, so a little bit of a well-deserved break out there on the wing.
Hard work to get that ball back. Luana Grabias does just that. It'll be a throw-in for Lexington. Fans, visit lexsporting.com to shop at the Lexington SC Team Store, your one-stop destination for all the latest LSC gear and official merchandise. From kits to scarves and hats, we've got everything you need to show off your club pride. That's lexsporting.com. Here comes Lexington. Kate Doyle running into some traffic in the midfield.
I think Doyle could just play that ball just a little bit quicker. Don't give Brooklyn the chance to throw those numbers around the ball. They ended up taking on 3 defenders, but if she gets that ball out of her feet a little bit quicker, tries to connect and go out the other side, they had an opportunity to get the switch on there. Good ball. Love that switch of play.
Rosette flicks this one on. Claire Winter drops it back. Lexington moving forward. Brooklyn looks to reset once again. Nearing halftime here in Lexington. We're even at 0 apiece between Brooklyn and Lexington. Jeff Attinella and Bridget Howard on the call with you tonight. And Jeff, as we inch closer towards halftime for both of these teams, what have you liked? What do you need to see different?
Well, I think for Lexington, I really liked how they've settled into the game. They're doing a good job getting those numbers behind the ball, and then when they do play those passes where the ball does turn over, their recovery defending has been on point. They're swarming, they're getting numbers behind the ball. Of course, they had a couple opportunities where Cox had to step up and make a big save, but just the immediate reactions, especially for a team that you're talking about where they're at in the table, and you're talking about a new coach that's into the system, getting the team to buy in defensively is going to be step one for this Lexington group. We'll watch this set piece, and I'll touch on Brooklyn a little bit as well.
Jess Garziano gets ready to take this. Here it comes. Headed out by Lexington. Kroger recollects. Sends it towards goal, headed out by Perez.
A little bit of a tough challenge there. But on the flip side for this Brooklyn team, nothing has come easy for Lexington offensively. Defensively, they've been so strong. Any opportunity where it even looks like Lexington has a place to put that ball in over the top or it's a through ball, their back line is in a good spot for either an offsides or they're able to swarm very quick defensively. And on the offensive side, I would like to see them move the ball a little bit more from side to side, try to get the ball a little bit wider in those 1v1 situations so that you could put the ball into the box. But a lot of their offense has been coming off that defense, and that's kind of been the mold for them this entire season. I would expect them in the second half to settle down just a little bit with the ball in possession and try to use those wingers a little bit more. But when you're talking about Brooklyn tonight, just nothing has come easy for this Lexington group, and everything starts with the defense for me. If you have a solid defensive shape, you're able to get numbers behind the ball, you're able to turn the ball over, then you can attack with pace. And we've seen that 2 or 3 times from Brooklyn tonight, and on a different night, they might have had a goal or two from those opportunities. So on the one side, I think Lexington's done a good job of making sure that their recovery defending has been good when the ball does turn over. Brooklyn's made nothing easy for Lexington tonight. Just a little bit cleaner on the offense for Brooklyn, and I think they might be able to get a couple goals. But so far, it's been a pretty even, clean match from what I'm seeing.
Cole Vernis certainly getting her steps in the midfield tonight, dropping back. Niku Purcell hasn't seen the ball too much tonight, but certainly more than the heat map we saw from the last matchup between these two teams, where it looked like Lexington didn't touch the 18-yard box. They've gotten a couple more opportunities tonight.
Yeah, they've had the ball a little bit more in the box, and even just a little thing on that play, just to touch on what I was talking about Brooklyn. It's a great ball in over the top. White's running onto it. It looks like there could be an opportunity, but instead, Brooklyn's in a good spot. They settle the ball down. They play the ball back to the goalkeeper, and then they reset, and now they're on the ball again. So Lexington has done a good job of advancing the ball up the field, but it's tough to break down this Brooklyn defense. So just a little bit more cleaner in that attacking half so they can get those opportunities on goal, or even try to draw one of those set pieces that we were talking about in the open, because that's an area of focus for them and a weapon.
Ball played out wide. Samantha Rosette, can she get to it? She does, and it just goes over the head of Grabias. Lexington hoping to move this momentum in their favor.
It was a great run from the outside back, Rosette, finding that open space. Unfortunately, the cross was just a little bit long, but they had those numbers in the box, and that's what we're talking about. Try to get that ball wide, put the ball into the box, and create a little bit of chaos in there.
Weeks plays it back to Perez. Pantuso, calm and collected, finds Kroger. And there, Lexington picks it off, but then gives it right back to Brooklyn. Here comes Mackenzie George on the far sideline. She gets around Weeks, plays a ball towards the top of the box. Cleared out by Lexington. It's a chess match tonight, isn't it?
It is, it is. This is an important moment in the game for Lexington. Brooklyn's been on top of the ball for quite some time. It's really going to test Lexington's defensive shape, especially here with tired legs towards the end of the first half.
Where Lexington has gotten in trouble a couple of times this season is right before the half, and right before the end of the half, and right as they come back out for the second half. So I think it would be a sign of improvement for them, no doubt, if they could keep it 0-0 heading into halftime. Much easier said than done now as Brooklyn looks to get a corner kick here before the end of the half.
Well, every coach I ever played for always said the most important moments are the 5 minutes after you give up a goal, the 5 minutes after you score a goal, or the 5 minutes at the beginning and the end of each half, which if you take all those numbers, that's a lot of important 5 minutes.
A lot of time.
That's a lot of important 5 minutes, but just key areas where you need to stay focused where that momentum can swing. And Lexington has a tough task here with this set piece, especially on this windy night.
Sam Kroger, Luana Grabias. Looked like she jumped up, tried to let it go in between her legs, and I believe it deflected off Cox, so it'll be yet another corner kick. Select, the official matchball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Ball sent in on the ground. Grabias disappointed there with that one, but that was a slow, trickling, interesting corner kick from Brooklyn.
I was just going to say before this last corner kick that I didn't love how Cox was the player that had to chase that forward to the near post, because you'd like to see a Lexington defender go with that attacker so that something like that doesn't happen. Brooklyn does a good job of acknowledging that and tries to run the same exact play. Lexington has to be on top of it in terms of chasing those runners, especially a player running to the near post like that. Pretty fortunate that that didn't come off because it was definitely open.
A nice touch from Hannah White. Gets the ball moving in Lexington's favor. Kate Doyle thought there, maybe if I just step over this, someone will be running behind. But it ends up with Niku Purcell. And that'll do it for the first half. Lexington gets over their first mountain, making sure they keep it 0-0 here in their spring home opener. Your initial thoughts on this first half? Well,
especially towards the end of that first half, we saw Brooklyn start to come to life and really dominate the possession and the different opportunities they were creating. Credit Lexington for hanging on, but again, this is a moment at halftime where Lexington needs to regroup, try to regain that possession, get a little bit more control back into this game, because it does start to feel like Brooklyn's starting to turn the tides a little bit. But 0-0, the scoreboard doesn't lie, a pretty even match first half. Brooklyn with a little bit more opportunities, good job defensively, but credit Lexington, they're sticking to what their new identity wants to be, and they're hanging on.
You look at the final third entries for both of these teams, 36 for Brooklyn, 15 for Lexington. So they're starting to get into those right areas. They're doing what Sam Stockley wanted them to do. They're getting into those areas, but they just got to be more consistent about it. Well, Sarah Cox, the keeper for Lexington, joins us now. Sarah, thanks for taking the time. Your initial thoughts on that first half. You got tested there a little bit early.
Yeah, in general, I'm really proud of our group, of how we're able to really focus defensively and hold our shape. And, you know, I think this week we really focused on our identity as a team and just really trying to play and have personal discipline. And I think we're doing a really great job of that. So I'm really proud of us so far.
You know, it seems like you guys are doing a great job of getting numbers behind the ball, and you can tell that that's been a focal point. I just want to talk about that big save in that 1v1 situation. What's going through your head? The defender does a good job of closing out that far post. So what's going through your head as a goalkeeper, just so that people can learn a little bit more about the position?
Yeah, I think you just want to try to stay on your feet as long as possible and keep your eye on the ball just in case any deflections come in last minute. But, yeah, a lot of it's just reaction and just keeping your focus till the last second.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for the time. Go get to the locker room. Looking forward to the second half.
Yeah, thank you guys.
That's Sarah Cox, the keeper for Lexington. She had a couple great saves there in that first half, and Lexington happy and proud of the effort they put in that first half. Brooklyn, you know, is itching to get a goal on the board. Stick with us. We've got more coming up for you right after this.
New flavors, the same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador, Spiked Bebidas.
Four-man defending. Ramirez is in behind the keeper and scores!
Marley Canal is with the shot! Cross, sprinters in, tapped home!
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Say man by Alpizing.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Success isn't a game of chance. It's about making the right moves. Just like Lexington Sporting Club, Commonwealth Credit Union aims to win by helping you defend your goals and keeping your money on the attack. As the official credit union of Lexington Sporting Club, we're empowering success on the field and in your finances with smarter banking options and unbeatable service. Are you ready to take the lead? Then get the home field advantage for your finances, only with Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
We live with you, build with you, grow up with you, and dream with you. At Central Bank, we belong to the same communities you do. You're our neighbors, friends, and business partners. And through the relationships we build with you every day, we consistently serve you better. That's what highly personal banking is all about. We start with you.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.
0-0 at the break between Lexington and Brooklyn here at Lexington SC Stadium. It's a chilly, it's a breezy night. We've had a lot of fun around the USL Super League this week as we take a look at the news and notes. Spokane Zephyr picked up their first road win since October 27th, defeating Dallas Trinity 1-0 at the Cotton Bowl last week. Exciting stuff from Spokane, a great way to start off the spring season. And last week, a week of firsts. 7 of the 11 goals from last week's action came from first-time goal scorers. We love to see that. We love to see ladies getting their first goals and a couple of first assists as well. And we've talked about it quite a bit throughout this one. It's a race to the top. 3 points separate 2nd and 5th place in the standings right now in the USL Super League. Brooklyn is sitting pretty at the top, but tomorrow's matchup, whoever wins is going to be looking at a 2nd place spot. So a big matchup on the line tomorrow. Well, every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive into all things Super League with host Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along all season on the SiriusXM app.
The latest inside scoop on coaching news, plus what the cross-league matchups will do for the Super League.
It is Pluck. Pluck launches this ball, top corner.
And we sit down with a special guest to discuss her team's trip to Italy, her NFL fandom, and her first professional goal.
Shout out Anna Whitty and Marion Crowder. They continue to kill it on game week. We love to see it from the ladies. All right, it's 0-0 at the half between Lexington and Brooklyn. Stick with us.
Will receive a limited edition green Lexington SC t-shirt, so arrive early. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. at Lexington SC Stadium. We need you loud and proud in the stands. Get your tickets now at lexsporting.com/ Fans, be sure to stick around for post-match autographs. Players will sign autographs in the southwest corner of the stadium in between sections 101 and 137 at the conclusion of tonight's
On the first half highlights between Lexington and Brooklyn. Brooklyn coming into this match wanted to continue their consistency. As for Lexington, they wanted to be calm and composed on the ball, and Brooklyn got off to a hot start.
As we see here, you know that Brooklyn loves to get the ball out wide. We see Emily Yapiel taking that ball into that right foot, that preferred foot, hits a knuckling ball, but Sarah Cox is up to the tax. And a little bit of turnover play here. We talked about Lexington. They need to be careful turning the ball over. Not afraid to hit the ball from distance, Garziano. But again, Cox on a windy night has good position, reads the ball well, able to rise up to the challenge. And again, this is the biggest opportunity of the night. It comes off of a direct ball. And George, she has this 1v1 opportunity, sticks it to her right foot. But again, we talked about it with her. Big time save, stay in bounds, making a big save. And great defensive effort from Lexington to clear the ball from danger. Good job keeping the 0 on the board so far for Lexington's defense and the goalkeeper.
Sarah Cox told us she was really proud of this group and what they've put out on the pitch so far. Stick with us. Right after this, we've got the second half. Second half on the way here in Lexington. It's chilly, it's cool, it's breezy. The players are bundled up, the fans are bundled up. We've got an exciting second half on tap between Lexington and Brooklyn on this Saturday night. Jeff Attinella, Bridget Howard with you on the call here from Lexington. Sean Tahini, the head official. Brooklyn starts off this second half, moving the ball around the back line.
Well, right away we see the intentions for Lexington. Long ball right off the kick. Trying to put this back line of Brooklyn underneath a little bit of pressure, but Brooklyn up to the task right off the kickoff, settles the ball back down and gets the ball back at their feet. Good job here by Lexington turning it over, see if they can make something of it.
Moyer. Sydney Shepard looking to find her target, finds Perez. Both teams told us heading into this one, you could find success if you got in the spaces in between the lines. Hannah White gets some touches in the box, but Niku Purcell comes up with the ball.
And I love that from number 36, Doyle. You see her check in between the lines in the midfield. She gathers the ball, plays a pass, and then continues her run. She makes that run out wide, creates that space for herself, and then puts a dangerous ball in the box. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about breaking lines. You need your midfielders to find those gaps, be confident on the ball, play that quick pass, and then continue that run into the space that you created for yourself. Just a great example of what Lexington's going to try to do here in the second half when we're talking about playing the ball on the ground and breaking those Brooklyn lines defensively.
Autumn Weeks bodied Mackenzie George off the ball. No foul called, and Lexington will now look to recycle.
That's the ball right there. That's a great switch of play. You can see Brooklyn wants to squeeze you to one side, but if you're able to play that ball, skip one of the forwards, come out the other side, and again, it's Doyle who's had a bright start to this second half.
Is hoping to find Claire Winter on the run. Kate Doyle spent her college days at Arkansas in Gonzaga. Scored 7 goals in 6 matches to start the year with Arkansas. Had 4 years at Gonzaga. and is now in the top 10 in program history for goals, assists, and game winners. So keep an eye out on Doyle as this game winds down. We get a look at another midseason addition for Lexington, Hannah White. She played at Georgia and USC. With a win today, Brooklyn would be the first team to 10 wins this season. They've certainly had an exciting start to the season in the fall, and they've just picked up right where they left off here in the spring. They were able to get a point against Tampa last week, hoping to get another clean sheet against Lexington here tonight. And if Lexington has anything to say about it, they're hoping to get back on the right track against this Brooklyn team, but just in general with a new interim head coach, maybe hope to get a clean slate for themselves.
Well, and some new players as well, and
Right.
I think that the energy's been good from Lexington. We talked about how the importance of the first 5 minutes of a half, the first 5 minutes of the end of a half, how important they are, especially when you're talking about momentum. I think Lexington's had a bright start to this second half, and a lot of that is coming from the new injection of players that they have out there, really setting the tempo for this group. That's a great job there by White, holding the ball up and drawing that foul. And that's something that you need to see from your target forward when you're talking about trying to break a press. We talked about it in the midfielders, but it's the same thing for that target forward. Try to gather that ball, be brave with the defender on your back, draw a foul, lay the ball off. Just continue to be a menace against those center backs and make life tough for them.
Great ball out wide to Hannah Richardson. Richardson 1v1 with Rosette. Plays it towards goal. Rosette clears the ball out of bounds.
It's a bright start from Lexington. We see a dangerous ball into the box. That's 2 of them now in the first half, or in the second half, where we didn't see many in the first.
Shea Moyer hoping to loop that ball into Claire Winter. Instead, Brooklyn comes up with it. Perez sees this one roll out of bounds. Jeff, when you have a team at the top of the table in Brooklyn, and then you have Lexington who's on the opposite end, as this game goes on, as we still have the score at 0-0, does the pressure start to flip more towards Brooklyn as opposed to Lexington?
Well, I think in this type of moment, we're talking about a turnover here.
And here comes Luana Grabias.
Well, I think in this moment for Lexington, it's a little bit unique in the terms of they're playing their first game under their new head coach. So I think that it creates a new opportunity, and they're probably not viewing it the same way as we're at the bottom of the table right now. We're playing against a team that's at the top of the table, and it's more about just trying to put together a solid 90 minutes. So in terms of pressure, I'm not really too heavy on one way or the other. I think that the pressure for Lexington and the pressure for Brooklyn is going to be making sure that you don't let one moment end up costing you this game, because that was a focal point for both coaches. Making sure that you don't switch off for a little bit that leads to the other team getting a goal and creating that opportunity to get 3 points. So I really think the focal point, especially when you're talking about Lexington, is putting together a really solid 90 minutes and trying to build off of that and not necessarily being too heavily focused on getting 3 points. But at the same time, if you're able to get 3 points in a moment like this, it's huge for momentum going forward for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, and they're talking about finding their identity, being able to pick up 3 points and attribute those two things to one another, I think would be great, to your point, moving in the right direction for this club. But I think you can already tell that this team looks a lot different stepping out onto the pitch tonight, just the way they've been so calm and composed with or without the ball.
Well, defensively sound. They've just been extremely defensively sound. They're always getting numbers behind the ball. Their players are stepping up in those 1v1 opportunities where they're really not giving up too many opportunities, because giving up goals is something that Lexington's had a problem with this season, and they just have to get those numbers behind the ball and have to stop conceding if they want to give themselves a chance to get up the table. And I think that this new identity has really shown through with that because they've done a good job of keeping most of the game in front of them. But these are the moments where Brooklyn can play quick. This is where 1v1 defending is so important.
George on the ball. Cuts it back. George. And Cox will pick this ball up. That was, I think there was a little bit of confusion there, as it looked to trickle out of bounds a bit. Get the latest Lexington SC news right at your fingertips by downloading the official mobile app powered by Fan 360. Get access to exclusive content while shopping for season tickets and LSC gear, all in the Lexington SC Fan app. This ball shot forward. Get a look at Mackenzie George. Started and played in every single game this season, over 1,200 minutes on the year, 3 goals and 3 assists. She's been everywhere for this offense, and truly with Isabel Cox retiring, another piece to their offense who had been so dangerous in the attack, Mackenzie George now maybe has a little bit more pressure to produce, right?
Absolutely. And she's definitely getting the work in tonight. A lot of the balls over the top are going her way, but she's done a good job. She had that 1v1 opportunity on, which actually came from the left side of the field, so a little bit more mobile, trying to move from side to side, but you can tell getting her the ball has been an extreme focus, and because she's such a good player out wide, she has such a dangerous right foot that it's a good recipe for success.
That was a nice step from Weeks. But it falls back in favor of Brooklyn.
I spoke it on in the first half with Lexington, but now it's Brooklyn. They've done a good job that first 5 minutes. They weathered that initial push, and now they're back on top of the ball where they want to be. Everything's calm and composed, trying to keep that possession, move this Lexington block from side to side, wait for those opportunities to play that ball in over the top, whether it's to George or one of the other outside wingers or outside backs making the run. But good job weathering that initial push from Lexington, and Brooklyn's kind of settling in here in the second half.
Mackenzie George in space and just misses that ball as it will roll out of bounds.
Unfortunate there for Brooklyn. That's the right idea. Side to side, get that winger the ball out wide. Just a little bit overhit. On a windy night like this, it's tough with the balls in the air. The ball's going to carry a little bit on these windy, cold nights. So just trying to make that final pass a little bit crisper. Brooklyn would have had an opportunity in on goal there.
Be sure to visit lexsporting.com to get your latest Lexington SC merchandise and discounted ticket offers. That's lexsporting.com. Brooklyn resets here. Pantuso looks forward. Mackenzie George targeted once again.
I think both these groups could be just a little bit more patient before playing that long ball. Maybe connect with the center midfielder a little bit. It's not like a broken record, but on those windy nights, those long balls can be difficult to come off.
Was trying to create some space for herself just outside the 18. Lexington comes up with the ball. Quick pressure from Brooklyn. Courtney
Good bit of
Jones.
skill there.
give and go there. And a yellow card will be issued to Emily Yapel, 21 for Brooklyn.
And just another example of what they're able to do when they find those spaces in between the midfield, whether it's draw a foul, whether it's create the ball with the runner out wide. Try to keep that ball on the ground a little bit more and play. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to play in that pressure. We talked about wanting to embrace it, right? Coach wanted to embrace the press. How you embrace the press is put that ball on the ground, play quick, get that movement and draw those fouls, create these opportunities on set pieces.
Perez sends it into the box. On the end of it was Nicole Furness. She sends it over the goal, excuse me. All yellow cards are presented by Hicks and Funson. Into the 60th minute we go here in Lexington. Jeff Attinella, Bridget Howard with you tonight. Head official Sean Tahini having a conversation with Sydney Shepard.
Yeah, I just laid on the challenge there. A little bit too late. Drawing in on the backside, and again, it's a dangerous set piece opportunity. Look at this ball, maybe even dump it into the box on a night like tonight. You see a couple subs coming in here for Brooklyn.
Yeah, a couple substitutions. Mackenzie Pluck entering the game, along with Dana Sheriff. Mackenzie Pluck, 1 goal, 4 assists on the season. Dana Sheriff, 3 goals for herself. So a little bit of an added offensive punch here for Brooklyn.
Yeah, just some fresh legs, bring a little bit more energy to the game. A little bit more attacking-minded subs here, some fresh legs, try to create a little bit of something with this energy that they have.
Sam Kroger plays it to the backside. We'll watch it roll out of bounds. A goal kick here for Lexington, Sarah Cox. Pressure once again for Brooklyn. Plenty of numbers around the ball. Cantuso will be waved for the foul. The longer Brooklyn goes without scoring, it almost feels like this Lexington group gains a little bit of momentum. You can see some life into them, knowing that they continue to hold themselves in this game, exactly what Sam Stockley was wanting from them, to be able to be in a game for 90 minutes.
1+2, I like the direct play a little bit more.
Luana Grabias at the top of the box. Tries to find Dana Sheriff, picked off by Lexington. It'll roll out for a corner kick.
That's good recovery defending there. We talk about as this game, as the tired legs start to expose themselves a little bit more, playing those long balls, trying to stretch the team, create those opportunities and those 1v1s. We've seen it on both sides now. As the game goes on, I expect both teams to get a little bit more direct and try to create these set piece opportunities on a night like tonight.
Kroger on the corner. Opts for the short pass. Sent back in. Cleared out by Lexington.
Good job defensing there from Lexington. I thought Brooklyn had something with that 2v1 out wide, but they're up to the task in the box, able to clear that danger and get numbers back behind the ball.
Pluck finds Sheriff. And another corner kick on the way for Brooklyn. West 6th Brewing is a proud partner of the Lexington Sporting Club. With dynamic taproom locations all throughout the state of Kentucky, you can enjoy West 6th locally crafted beers for all of your adventures. Enjoy a Stadium Ale, the official craft beer of Lexington SC, at all home games or at your favorite retailers around Lexington. Ball into the box and hits the side netting.
I'm not sure that she was going for goal, but I don't mind it. There's a lot of traffic around the box. Try to force the goalkeeper Cox into making a play. Unfortunately hits the side of the net, but there's a lot of traffic around that goal area. Try to get it as close to that goal as you can. Try to create a little bit of havoc. I don't mind it. But right away, I think it was Sheriff who was able to get that corner kick and create a little bit of something. You're seeing those fresh legs come into play. Interested to see what Coach Stockley does with Lexington in terms of trying to balance out how to deal with those fresh legs and what he's going to do when he decides to make a move to his bench.
Autumn Weeks with pressure on her back. Looks like that's Autumn Weeks on the ground, maybe cramping up a bit.
Yeah, I think that's the international cramp symbol.
Those are never fun.
Never fun. She's been working hard tonight. It's not surprised. George has been testing her all night, but she's been up to the task. As we see it here, dealing with a 2v1 situation. Does a good job recovering here. Just a little bit tripped up, able to draw that foul, and then you can tell right there, dealing with just a little bit of something, but
well, a new face onto the pitch for Lexington, but not a new face to Lexington fans. Maddie Parsons getting her time today on the pitch. Parsons, a surprise to not be in the starting lineup today, has started in every game this season, over 1,300 minutes, leads the team, 5 goals, 5 assists. She has been the face of their offense.
well, now it's just a different role as well. It's 25 minutes where you have the opportunity to use what you have. You have that fresh energy that you don't have when you start a game at this point in the game. So a tactical maneuver here, maybe have one of your better players offensively come on later in the game so you have that energy, so you create that bright spot later in the game and try to swing that momentum a little bit in their favor.
Quick ball movement from Brooklyn. Rosette. Garziano gets a touch on it. Gerbias wave for the foul. A restart for Lexington.
We talk about Parsons. Of course, you always want to have your best players out there, your goal scorers, your contributors. But there's something also about bringing somebody in later in the game where you can really try to utilize her for what she's good at and bring it in when there's more energy. You bring that energy to the game. You have those fresher legs. You can go at the defenders who have been running around for 66 minutes. So it's a little bit of a different look coming off the bench, but expect her to be heavily involved in this second half and try to make that impact coming in off the bench, because sometimes that's just as important as the people that start the game as well.
Game changers.
Game changers. You need game changers on the field, especially in a 0-0 game. 20+ minutes left. It's a great window to make an impact.
Brooklyn moves the ball around the back line. Rosette gets it. Cleared out by Lexington.
you have to give a little bit of credit for weeks. She just went down with a cramp. It seems like every ball since that cramp's been going down the right side, but she's recovered well. Dealing with these runners all night long. Good ball movement. See if we can get this ball off the side.
Hannah Richardson hoping for Parsons. Can she get there? She cannot. Those are the little spells that Lexington knows they have within them, right? The ball movement, as you mentioned, looked really good coming up that near sideline, but it's that final pass, that final third entry that just hasn't necessarily been there or been on point. But they've had the build-up.
They've had moments, and I think that it is, just to your point, it's just that final pass that's been lacking. Whether it's the wrong ball, maybe you need to be a little bit more patient, time your runs a little bit better, but you can tell that the build-up has been an area of focus, and those quick plays on the ground, that's when they've had their most success. 1-2 pass on the ground, move the ball at the other side. 1-2 pass on the ground, make an overlapping run. So the more that they're able to keep that ball on the ground and draw that Brooklyn defense and stretch them out, then they're going to have those opportunities to really attack at that goal.
This ball scoots through to Rosette, and a great look across goal, but it'll bounce into the hands of Cox.
Good communication there on the back line. You're starting to see Rosette starting to creep up that right side. The last 10 minutes or so, she's had the ball in dangerous areas on that right side, something that Lexington needs to be mindful of. They're going to start overloading these wingers as the game goes on, as there's tired legs, so they need that help defensively so that the outside backs aren't constantly put in these 2v1 situations.
The quality of services from Rosette on this near sideline have been really nice.
Solid. They need a couple more numbers in the box. I'd like to see Brooklyn have a couple more runners so that Rosette have something to pick her eyes up and see. But it was something that we didn't see much of in the first half, was getting those outside backs involved. But as this game keeps going, those outside backs are getting a little bit more courageous. They're starting to go for the win a little bit more. And I really think Lexington just needs to be mindful of that, because they don't want to be overloaded on the out wide, because then they're going to create problems for themselves in the box when that cross does come in.
Join us for our next home match on St. Patrick's Day, Saturday, March 15th, when the ladies in green from Lexington Sporting Club take on Dallas Trinity FC at 7 p.m. Secure your seats today at lexsporting.com/tickets.
As this game continues to build, I really think patience is going to be the key word for both of these sides. About 20 minutes or so left with stoppage time. Making sure that you're being patient. You don't want to play that ball because the game starts to speed up on you a little bit and you start chasing that goal. Just stay patient, continue to build, and wait for those opportunities to attack, because the last thing you want to do is try to force something that leads to a turnover and leaves your back lines exposed. And that's for both teams as well.
And Lexington almost likes to hear that, right? Because they've been so successful this year on the counterattack. That's when they've been their best, is when they're picking off back lines and changing the point of attack so quickly, they just catch teams off guard. So being patient and waiting for their opportunity has been what Lexington's been all about. As for Brooklyn, it's been similar, right? Like, they are so quick to get on the counterattack that both of these teams have really thrived in those positions.
Well, especially when you're talking about how quickly both these teams can turn you over. It just takes one pass, right? It takes maybe one little bit of a lazy pass, one ill-advised pass, and then the next thing you know, they're attacking down, going straight at numbers. So Brooklyn's done such a good job this entire season of making sure that they have numbers behind the ball. But I really think this is the first time that they're getting a look at a Lexington team that is so solid, has been solid defensively and getting numbers behind the ball themselves, that, you know, when teams are in structurally sound shape, when teams are in their blocks and ready to attack, when the ball has the opportunity to attack the ball and turn the ball over, that's when you run into trouble with those turnovers. So for both of these teams, just stay patient. An opportunity or two is going to come, even if the game stays exactly the same way it is. Each team's going to have 1 or 2 opportunities in this game, and it's just going to end up being about who can maximize out those opportunities. And you don't want to be the team that's giving the ball away to create that opportunity in a situation that's difficult.
For Brooklyn FC in the 73rd minute.
Looks like we'll have another substitution.
Number 10,
This time it'll be Kes Elmore coming into the game for Luana Gerbias.
Number 23, Luana Gravias.
Kes Elmore, the England native, has played in 6 games this season. He's a member of the U20 England national team. Hasn't seen a ton of time on the pitch this season, just 60 minutes total, but Jess Silva hoping she can make an impact here.
And again, it's just some fresh legs. I thought Gerbias did a good job tonight. She didn't have too many opportunities in front of net, and that speaks to how well Lexington played. But when the work had to get done, that little bit of dirty work that we talked about with her, she was up to the task. She was up to the task defensively. Would have liked to see her get on the ball a little bit more in dangerous areas, but anytime you're talking about that, you also have to give Lexington credit defensively for making sure that she wasn't able to find those balls in those difficult spots. But again, it's fresh legs, trying to make an impact in the attack. And I like how both teams are making attacking-minded subs. They're both going to try and go for it. Just waiting for this game to open up a little bit to see if there's an opportunity to take advantage of.
With the number of games dwindling in the regular season, these teams don't want to walk away with 1 point. They want to walk away with 3. And so for both of these sides, really important for different reasons to get on the board 1, but also to just walk away with something here tonight and hoping it's more than 1.
I think especially for Lexington, I love to ask the question to coaches, if you take the result out of it, what does success look like for your group? And for Lexington, success looks like exactly what you're watching. You're seeing a team that's a little bit more patient on the ball, disciplined defensively, and just really trying to make sure that they don't give up any opportunities to the other team, because when you give up the amount of goals that they've given up, it's hard to keep yourself in any type of race. But for Brooklyn on the flip side, they want to win games. They're on top of the table. They want to stay on top of the table. I know that they focus 1 game at a time, but they want to continue to progress. And they had 1 point last week versus Tampa, difficult place to play. This is a difficult condition, difficult place to play, but make no mistake about it. Brooklyn wants 3 points out of this game.
Dana Sheriff gets the ball at her feet just outside the box. Look to Garziano. Ball at her feet. Emily Apel shoots this ball over to the backside. Cleared out by Lexington.
Good ball movement to get the ball out wide. Just the final product, I think for both of these teams, you touched on it earlier, it's just really that final pass has been lacking. Just a little bit more precision in that final pass leading to goal.
I think Brooklyn has had a couple of moments where the ball has been there. We saw it with Mackenzie George, but it almost looked in slow motion, right? It was taking a little bit too long to make those decisions to pull the trigger. And I think we saw that with George, and I think in a couple of other moments, maybe it's just been a little too slow of decision making.
Yeah, and I think that, you don't want to make excuses for anybody, but
Right.
You're talking about the elements tonight.
Absolutely.
Freezing cold night, 30-mile-per-hour winds down there on the pitch, which it's going to slow the game down a little bit, so that last pass and that precision might not be as crisp as you're used to seeing.
It never is, and I can imagine with this being a grass surface that the ground is rock hard right now, so the ball's moving a lot quicker, and like you said, it's breezy, it's chilly. There's a lot of things working against these players right now. Autumn Weeks has been battling all night long on this sideline.
Great job there by Weeks. I love how when she picks her head up in the midfield, she realizes she has space, she attacks that space and then finds her midfielder. Extremely patient on the ball. Outside back in unfamiliar territory in the middle of the field, finds that gap in the defense, and able to connect and keep the ball for her team.
All played out wide. Maddie Parsons picks it up. Parsons at the top of the box. Parsons plays it towards goal, and it just goes wide. And that is why Sam Stockley brought Maddie Parsons into this match.
We've been waiting to say her name on the broadcast. She has an opportunity here. It's a good touch inside, just not able to get her foot all the way around it to bend it into that top corner. But again, that comes from patient build-up from Lexington. They're able to settle the ball down in the midfield, work the ball side to side, and then you get the ball into the box into a dangerous spot with one of your best attacking players having an opportunity on goal.
Another new player stepping onto the pitch, Corey Sullivan in for Hannah Richardson.
Another great job there by Weeks defensively.
Brooklyn trying to turn the tides here. Lexington not allowing for many passing lanes right now, making Brooklyn really think about every pass they make. Corey Sullivan gets her first touches. Nicole Vernus weaving her way through the midfield.
You can feel it a little bit. Lexington really settling into this game. Of course, you have to be mindful with a team like Brooklyn, how fast they can turn the ball over with one pass and go at your goal, but Lexington do a good job here in these last couple of minutes settling in and being a little bit more dominant on the ball, swarming Brooklyn when they had the opportunity to build anything up. And I like the way that they've responded here because Brooklyn had a little bit better of it. It's been a good game in terms of flow and, you know, each team taking that momentum from one another.
We heard it from Sarah Cox at halftime. She said she was really proud of this group. They've been focusing on their identity all week long and really focused and honed in on the personal discipline, and I think you're seeing that from each and every player that stepped onto the pitch for Lexington. As we enter the final 10 minutes, excuse me, and Lexington is really putting the pressure on.
That was a great entry ball, 1v1 situation. We haven't caught her name much, but the goalkeeper there, Purcell, does a great job of being high off of her line. If she's not in that position, Lexington's in on a 1v1 on the goal. It was an amazing entry ball, but again, you have to give Purcell credit as a goalkeeper, staying high off her line. She hasn't had to be too engaged in this game in terms of making saves, but 80 minutes on a freezing cold night to stay engaged like that, you have to give the goalkeeper credit for being in the right spot for that through ball.
We always know you're going to give the keeper credit, and we love it.
Somebody has to. Somebody has to. Little things, you know, it's little things that mean so much, and especially when you're talking about positioning for a goalkeeper. The difference between being off your line in that situation and being 3 yards back leads to a clearance of the ball or a 1v1 on the goal. So I try to give it a shout out as best as I can at most times.
Fans, visit lexsporting.com to shop at the Lexington SC Team Store, your one-stop destination for all the latest LSC gear and official merchandise. That's lexsporting.com. A restart for Lexington. Madison Perez set to take the kick. Anna White hoping to get a touch on this ball. Quick throw in. White finds Moyer. Brooklyn so good in small spaces.
Look at the reaction here from Lexington. You can tell where the focus has been all week, and the players are really responding. Any opportunity here in the second half that Brooklyn's had to maybe catch a counterattack, Lexington is just getting numbers immediately behind the ball, putting pressure onto the ball when it needs to be. And you can see it here. They're in a nice organized block, and Brooklyn's going to have the ball here in the back line. They're going to move the ball from side to side, but as long as Lexington stays in this block and moves solid defensively and doesn't let anybody in between those gaps, they're keeping everything in front of them.
Brooklyn has been the hottest team in the league to this point. Lexington on the other end, but tonight we are seeing a different side of this Lexington team, thanks to their mainstays, but their new additions have really made an impact. This ball played towards goal, and it'll go out of bounds for a goal kick. Stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super Newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Doyle gets it on this near side. Looking for Green. Both teams on the cusp of finding some momentum. Brooklyn, Jess Garziano picks it off. As time winds down, Lexington hoping to get on the board before full time. Again, Brooklyn, the only team to shut out Lexington in both matches during the fall. They're hoping to not only find the back of the net and a goal, but hoping to get their first win in quite some time. Autumn Weeks waiting to throw the ball in.
Substitution for
We'll have a couple
Brooklyn
substitutions
FC,
for
86th
Brooklyn.
minute.
Nakia Smith and Salma Amani now on for Brooklyn.
Number 20, Nakia Smith. For number 9, Jesse Garziano. And number 7, Salma Amani.
So a couple
Number
new
21,
faces,
Emily Yapple.
some new energy as time winds down here in this second half. Great turn from Vernus. Parsons plays it out to Mackin. Moyer. Here comes Brooklyn. Autumn Weeks has been all over the pitch tonight, and we have to applaud her defensive effort.
Absolutely, and Brooklyn has made a point to be going down this right side all night. It doesn't matter. George started the game, the substitutes that come in, and Weeks has just been up to the challenge consistently, doing a good job getting her body in between the attackers and the ball, 1v1 situations, and also getting herself involved a little bit offensively. She's been able to do a good job in possession. She's been on the ball a lot. Just a really solid game from the outside back from Lexington.
A Lexington W League player. Really making her mark here tonight in this one.
To me, this is where the storyline of the game gets a little bit interesting because there's not too much time left at 0-0. We know that that would be a great result for Lexington, especially if they're able to keep this shutout. That's been a focal point. Do they stretch themselves out a little bit and decide that they want to try to go for the 3 points in this situation? Or are they going to play a little bit more conservative and try to ride out this point? Of course, anything can happen. There's still time in this game, but getting a little bit of a tidbit on what they're going to try to do here. If they're comfortable with the 0-0, if they're still going to try to go for it.
Maddie Parsons hoping to get something on it. And here comes Lexington at the top of the box. Moyer lays it out to Parsons. Parsons sends it to the back post. And Corey Sullivan on the end of it, but just goes wide.
Oh, it's a great opportunity here. Lexington has this energy. Parsons puts a dangerous ball in. And as you're watching it live, I really thought there was going to be an opportunity for her to rise up over the defender, Rosette, and bury it into that far post, but unfortunately it just goes a little bit wide. I think in that one you want to try to head the ball back where it came from, make the goalkeeper have to go back to the other direction, but it's a dangerous opportunity coming off the energy from Lexington. They're still pushing a little bit. I'm wondering what they're going to do here, if they're going to ride it out, but you're seeing that energy, still not afraid to go forward.
The inaugural USL Super League season has officially begun. Visit USLSuperLeague.com for all the latest information, analysis, and insight into all things Super League. Autumn Weeks. She's gonna need an ice bath, a Theragun. She's gonna need it all after this one because she has put her heart and soul on the line here tonight.
And she's earned it. Get her all the treatment after this game. She was cramping up earlier, responded extremely well, been under pressure all night long, putting her body on the line, drawing fouls. And when you talk about the identity of this team, look no further than the performance that Weeks has had tonight.
Sarah Cox able to pick this ball up.
That should be a foul. It was a back pass.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper picked it up. There should be a call here. So this is the moment. We have an indirect free kick here inside the box, something you don't see very often, but back pass from the defender. Cox comes out with her hands. I mean, probably a safe decision, honestly, given the situation. You'd like to see her go with her feet just because you're dealing with the back pass, but it's an immediate reaction. Now we have a unique, difficult situation here for Brooklyn.
2 minutes of stoppage time added.
This is where things get interesting. You can tell the wind is blowing at the goalkeeper's face if you see the flags in the background. So it should be an indirect free kick. It'll be interesting to see. A little bit of a small wall here from Lexington. I would have thought they put more numbers in front.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 2 minutes added in the second half.
Oh, I think if they want it, I think Brooklyn has this far post if they want it.
As they do on many of free kick set pieces, they look to Sam Kroger. So an interesting way to end this second half here. Conversation being had.
Well, it's interesting to see what they're going to do here because this should be an indirect free kick, I think. Oh, there it is. There's a look.
They look for Pluck.
Up to the task.
And cleared out, but I believe they're going to call offside.
Well, now that was a little bit of an interesting play there. I knew it was an indirect free kick, but I wasn't sure what they had drawn up. They went with the far post ball, but Cox up to the task, ultimately called offsides. But that's a big-time play there from the goalkeeper to keep that ball out of the back of the net. Surprised Brooklyn didn't do something a little bit more direct with a shot on target from that distance, but credit the Lexington goalkeeper for keeping her mind on straight, being aware for anything creatively. That added a little bit of juice here. Now Brooklyn's coming to life.
Gonna throw in on the near sideline.
I know that that's not something that you usually practice. I don't know the last time that I ever practiced an indirect free kick inside of the box on the training grounds. A unique play that they drew up there. I would have thought maybe a little bit having somebody on top of the ball, maybe a roll and a shot on power, force the goalkeeper into making a big save, but they opted to play that far post ball. Unique look, it almost comes off. But again, give the Lexington goalkeeper credit for keeping the ball out of the back of the net. She wants to get that second clean sheet of the season.
Sarah Cox has had an outstanding night tonight. Kept this Lexington team in this game on a number of opportunities. And that is it from Lexington. And there we have Sam Stockley, all smiles. This is a good step in the right direction for this Lexington team, able to walk away with a point. And you see it there. It's the first time that Brooklyn has been held scoreless this season.
When we talk about the stats before the game and you look at the amount of clean sheets that Lexington's had, the amount of goals that they've given up, new coach coming in, you knew that the focal point was going to be defensively and trying to keep a clean sheet and making sure that you're solid defensively, and that's exactly what we saw from this Lexington group. And we also saw how a good defensive performance could lead to opportunities on the other side. They did a great job of frustrating Brooklyn tonight. Brooklyn gets another point, but a solid performance from this new Lexington look.
Well, it's a draw here in Lexington for Saturday night Super League action. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming up for you right after this.
You're dealing with a cramp at one point in the game, and then it just seemed like the ball just kept coming down your side. How were you able to respond from that? And then also just speak to the resilient defensive effort that your group put in. I really thought you led the way with your performance in terms of what you wanted to look like. Just speak a little bit on how you plan on dealing with that cramp, and then a little bit on what the defensive performance meant tonight for Lexington.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the cramp, like it happens. Like I had the salt pills and then drank some water, and then my center back was like, keep your energy, don't just keep running, just conserve it and use it when it needs to, and I did that and it worked out. And then speaking to our defensive line, we really just all were on the same page. We like this week we talked about like no one's right, no one's wrong. We just need to be on the same page, and I think that's exactly what we did tonight.
Autumn, thank you so much for the time. I know it's a draw, but it seemed like this was a win in a lot of ways for this Lexington team as you look to this new slate with a new head coach. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Great game.
All right, well, as we look at this matchup, you could tell Autumn Weeks, the smile on her face really said it all. And Brooklyn got after it early, but Lexington, a lot of steps forward tonight with their effort.
Absolutely, it was a great job defensively. And anytime, I know I talk about goalkeepers a lot, but the goalkeeper stood on her head tonight in goal, Cox, and you need your goalkeeper to step up when you're talking about clean sheets. But for me, the focal point tonight was Lexington and their ability to turn the ball over when they had these opportunities offensively. They put the team in a little bit of trouble as you see the ball played in here. Just not able to bend it all the way around was Parsons in that opportunity. But again, we talked about the heat map before the game. They were in Brooklyn's box tonight. And again, this is where the game got a little bit wonky towards the end there. Direct free kick inside the box. But again, it's Cox up to the task. Lexington does just what they need to do to hang on, to keep that clean sheet and build a little bit more momentum with this new identity they are trying to build.
Lexington picks up a point tonight. Now just 1 point away from that 7th place spot behind DC Power. But when you look at the top of the table now, Brooklyn, they pick up a point, but now they're Carolina Ascent, the Dallas Trinity, Fort Lauderdale, they're all in reach of that 1st place spot.
Well, one result definitely tightens the standings in any way, shape, or form. As you see, Carolina has an opportunity tomorrow to gain some ground on Brooklyn. But again, there's Lexington. One win and they move up the table immediately, and you know that they're feeling good about the result. So anytime you get a result like this, top of the league, bottom of the league, it tightens things up, and it just keeps things interesting for the second half of the Super League. Should be an exciting end to the season.
Well, what a night we had tonight in Lexington at Lexington SC Stadium. Jess Silva, Sam Stockley getting their groups ready for tonight. Both teams walking away with a point. It's a draw here in Lexington. Thanks so much for joining us. From Jeff Attanella, I'm Bridget Howard saying so long from Lexington. This is the USL Super League on Peacock. and go there. And a yellow card will be issued to Emily Yapel. Little give and go there.